Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn, and this is a special edition of Sunday Morning Hangover. This is Jason.
This is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is I, Tonya. Came out in 2017. I know it's been a few years since 2017, but just want to give everyone a heads up that there will be some spoilers.
Yeah, it's a 2017 film, I, Tanya, directed by Craig Gillespie. And this is a special edition of Sunday Morning Hangover with our buddy Nick.
Hello, everyone. I'm just as surprised as you that they allowed me on again. So thank you.
Yeah, second time. We're pretty sure we're gonna have you on again after this too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we watched I, Tanya. It's a sports esque movie. It is a very
It's a
sports
sport. Come on.
film. But it kind of like tells the story of Tonya Harding. And we can ask Nick the first question that we typically ask everyone
Wait,
and
wait, wait, wait.
ourselves. Oh,
I actually have a question I wanted to ask you both. I should have told you before we started recording. I wanted to ask you both before we asked the typical first question.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So my usual fashion as I'm watching the movie, I'm taking notes. So one of the questions I had was, why was the Tanya Harding story good enough to receive a movie that's not a documentary, like a movie, a scripted film like this? Why do you both feel that?
I'll kind of take that on first. I think because there's some there's some interesting characters in this kind of story, and I think they kind of come off as over the top as what you think would be in a movie like characters in a movie, but I would believe that they're essentially exactly true to who they were in real life. So I think that's like kind of like when someone reads the story and probably write in the newspaper or write about it on the web, and someone as a screenwriter was like, "That's totally a movie. Like we can over dramatize it." I think it was over dramatized in the media in real life, but I think someone just kind of like clicked in their head like we could make a movie off of this and not just a true documentary.
Yeah, like just the funny enough, after right before I started it, I kind of had similar thoughts. So I kind of knew the whole Harding situation with with the injury, with kind of like, her kind of falling off and everything. So I kind of said to myself going into the movie too as well, like, why was this worthy of a movie? And after two, I think it's just kind of it was the time. I think in the '90s, and like that was a lot of like that's a lot of drama. Like that's
Mhm.
pretty much like equivalent to like if you saw that today of like we just saw the World Cup. Like what if like Mbappe like hit Messi with like or someone like some Messi fan hit Mbappe with a lead pipe going out to the game.
Yeah.
Like it's almost that equivalent. Like in terms, I guess not to that degree, but like with the Olympics and stuff. Like it's just that's a crazy scenario that happened. And I think the fact that like it was kind of just Tonya Harding was already a polarizing figure where she didn't necessarily fit in with you know the classical like figure skating. So I think it's a drama with it. I saw as well like the director kind of mentioned like I guess they came out with a docu series like about 10 years ago, and that's what like started the director to like kind of like think about a film for it. So, and I think it's really the drama of it all. That's how I think. Like I think it's just kind of like there's no there's no other crazy situation you've seen where literally athletes were like yeah
Attacking each other.
exactly yeah it's almost
Until later.
it's yeah it's almost too good to believe. So yeah it's that's where I was thinking with it.
Okay. Yeah, I figured since I had the thought, I figured you guys would maybe have the same or similar thoughts about that. So I was like, let me ask them.
Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I know the world is all about drama now, so yeah, this movie definitely fit into that category.
Yeah,
Just
true.
nonstop craziness.
I think a lot of times too nowadays people just want to remind people of things. It's like, oh, like
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Tanya Harding kind of maybe Tanya Harding kind of wants to fade into the background of their life and kind of just live their lives, but some people want to just remind people of things and of these events and bring it and kind of crawl it back up into our purview. But that's not whether or not malicious or not, but that could be just something that like, oh, it's just something nowadays you see that with a lot of movies. There are a lot of remakes of things, retelling of stories. So when someone doesn't really have a true idea, they kind of would want to just kind of retell a story differently in their own perspective.
Yeah, let's just bring back what works.
Yeah.
True.
Well, there's also too. I think there's one other aspect with it that kind of like don't really think about. Is like with figure skating and stuff. Like the Olympics come Winter Olympics every 4 years, so it's something that's kind of always going to be kind of revisited every 4 years. If you know what I mean, like where it's like if people are watching figure skating, like the first thing someone's going to mention is, "Hey, you remember the time?" Someone got hit for hire,
Right.
to qualify. Like it's kind of always something that's going to be brought up whenever someone is watching figure skating now, just because it is just kind of too good. It's too juicy and drama. Like I just don't think you would see that now. Like too, like, and I think we haven't seen it before, like a scenario like that. So I think it's also just kind of the sport too. Like figure skating is such a posh sport where something like that to happen as well. It's hard not to remember. Like we tend to remember outrageous stories when it comes to like stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there is always going to be that one person in the stands or next to you while you're watching figure skating. Oh, you remember that Tonya Harding story? It's like, yeah, I'm trying to watch figure skating right now.
And not to be too like too drastic or too crazy, like to change the subject. But it's like football. If you're watching the Patriots, someone's gonna eventually bring up Aaron Hernandez. And then if you're at a party or something, it's one of those things that I think it's just kind of it's human nature, and it's one of those stories that a lot of people can like. They not necessarily have to be a fan of the sport to bring up. So it's also that where it's just kind of like you said, just does it get lost?
Which sadly would probably turn into a dramatized movie at some point in the future too. And
I think they may already be doing something.
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
right? That's the thing. That's just the name of our kind of life and existence. It's like you want to forget those horrible stories, but someone's gonna be like, oh, let's just
people are bringing them back.
Oh yeah,
everybody was hype on the Jeffrey Dahmer freaking docuseries like a couple weeks ago,
which is good. It was there's there's
it was
good
great
TV to watch and stuff, but in terms of those people that are like part of those stories, I can only imagine what it is to kind of watch something like that. I guess we're kind of already getting into it. But do we want to introduce our beers? We do have a tradition of trying to drink a beer while we talk about this movie with our buddy Nick. And Nick, do you want to tell us what you're drinking?
Yeah, so I have Almanac beer. I have the Bunny Hill IPA, so they're kind of their winter IPA. I went the other day to the brewery to pick them up. So it's kind of seasonal, so kind of take advantage of it while I can. But pretty good.
Oh, what about you, Kai?
I have a Pliny the Elder.
Oh, he's gonna drink one and then take a nap.
Yep.
I remember I gave one of those to my dad, and he was like, "Whoa!" He's like, "These things are strong."
Oh yeah.
My girlfriend went down the street to the grocery store, and she found this brewing company called 1862, and they're from Washougal, Washington, and they made a Mexican lager, and it's very easy to drink, and so it was a nice 6-pack that I had one left over in my fridge. But
so you drink the 5 before the podcast? Is that what you were telling
me? All this morning. Yeah,
that's the way that's the way we want you.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice and loose.
But the traditional question that we ask each other for these movies is, what did you like about the movie? And Nick, you can tell us what did you like about this movie?
There was kind of a lot to like. I mean, I do like how they showed her upbringing and kind of painted a story of what she dealt with growing up, because it's something I didn't necessarily really know going into this. Like I said, you're kind of always known about the Nathan Kerrigan incident and all that, but I didn't really know how hard it was for her starting at. I don't know about you guys when you watch this, but I had to look it up after too. Like she started at, in the movie they said 4, but for some reason online I found 3 when she started actually like ice skating, which to me is just insane to kind of think about. So I like for myself, like seeing like my little nephews and cousins running around, just thinking like, oh man, like I don't think I could remember back to that age. So to think that she started at that age is just pretty crazy. But I do like how they redid a lot of the competitions and stuff. So I there's a lot to like with it. I think they kind of did a good job of portraying Tonya in terms of like giving her that edge, because that's kind of what made her different back then, but those are the things I liked with it.
Hey, Kai, what about yourself?
Um, so mine is, I guess, the cinematography of it. So I liked the cutting between the interview scenes, like the talking head type interview
Mhm.
scenes of everyone that was involved in the situation. And the other thing I liked was freaking Sebastian Stan. Like this man has been on a Pete Davidson type of role. Like Margot Robbie, he had in this movie. He had Lily James and Pam and Tommy.
Right? I was like
And
thinking like this is
then
the reason why he got that Pam and Tommy role, most likely,
yeah.
right?
And then he had Daisy Edgar Jones in Fresh. And I'm like, this dude is on a run. Those are the things I liked about the movie. That neither one of those really had anything to do with Tonya Harding.
Oh, Fresh. I forget about that movie. I want to watch that movie. But yeah, I agree with you in terms of like the documentary style. We were
Yeah.
your first question that you opened up the podcast was is like why wasn't it a documentary when they made a film for it? I
Mhm.
think it like the director or whoever wrote the script may have made a note that like it would probably be best to kind of have the interview style talking heads and cuts to back to the action of her skating in the Olympics and landing the what was it the
Triple Axel.
triple axle and stuff, and so things like that, the cuts into the mother character, like all the different characters in this kind of story. I think the cuts back to them just kind of recounting the story, and also kind of like it gives you, I don't know if it happened in real life, but they're different perspectives of the story too. Like
Oh
where
yeah.
Tanya Harding's probably giving the true perspective of what was happening around her to her own everyday life, but everyone else is trying to like add in some other like nuances or different events where, well, you weren't the one that were actually living those events, most likely truly to what Tanya Harding was doing, and I really enjoyed that most of all for this film. Is there anything that you didn't like about the film, Nick?
I mean, walking away from it, I just right away, I kind of knowing like she didn't break her leg in the assault. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. She just had a really deep bruise, which banned. I mean, Nancy Kerrigan I'm talking about from the competition. So that was the only thing that really stood out to
I feel
me,
like that's not
and just
true.
because I know the situation, and it was one of those where in passing, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I got fake news when I looked it up after, it was one of those that I thought I remembered that correctly too, where it wasn't a broken leg or anything. It was just she was hurt, but at the same time too, like um that was like the main thing that really stuck out to me, and I kind of feel like as well, like they kind of, I don't know, you guys got this. It felt rushed at the end.
Hmm.
Like
Like
they
I
really
feel
closed
like
it up.
yeah, like I feel like it kind of just like okay, like the incident happened, and then like everything kind of rushed from there. Like okay, she's banned, and then a few things about her boxing, and that was it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, that was like one thing where I'm like, oh, like I would like to hear a little bit more and like about that. But yeah, those are just two of the things that just kind of stuck out.
And truly, and to kind of cut it right out, where it's like truly the aftermath of what happened to Tanya Harding and how Tanya Harding kind of lived life afterwards was pretty set in stone in 2017 when this film was like put out. So it's like
Yeah,
Hmm.
you had more to talk about in terms of like
right,
what Tanya Harding decided to do. Like recently,
right.
like I'm up in Oregon, and so this whole Tanya Harding was born in Portland, Oregon, and most of this story relates to being raised in Oregon. And I just saw Tanya Harding on TV. Like I was watching the morning news, and Tanya Harding was doing some signatures at a bar and everything in the morning, and everyone was. It seems like Tanya Harding's trying to get back into the public eye in a positive image. It seems like you're or just trying to like just go out there and kind of be in the community of just whether or not Oregon does seem like they love Tanya Harding and stuff, and so they typically around this time, the winter time or in the Olympics kind of time, the Winter Olympics specifically, they have like uh kind of a not a museum, but like just a remembrance of Tanya Harding as an athlete within the sport of figure skating. And so that, yeah, I think I would piggyback on that with Nick's kind of critique where it's like it would have been nice to kind of see more of what Tonya Harding kind of dealt with afterwards,
Mm.
other than being like banned for life and kind of being regulated to kind of being all these like what is it, these TV shows or something, just trying to probably make some paychecks and stuff. But for me, it was, I wish, I don't know, I feel like sometimes when I ended this film, I was like, it would have been nice to see more of like the figure skating. Kind of like, I guess it's kind
Yeah.
of difficult to like film figure skating for like a movie sense.
Blades of Glory did a hell of a
Yeah,
job.
right. So, and I think Blades of Glory came out before this movie. So, but it would have been nice because I think it does remind everyone who was a part of figure skating that she was one that stuck out like a sore thumb uh, because of where she came from and how she
She
was
was
raised.
punk rock about it.
Yeah, and she was more of like this person, and what nowadays a lot of people want to cherish for themselves is that I want to be able to live my life or even experience life in my own way, and not to be bogged down by what the traditional norms are in a sport like figure skating, which in the movie I was like, I didn't know that they like all needed a fur coat and everything. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
which child has a fur coat to go to the figure skating rink?
I think you guys too. I didn't really understand kind of, and I've never really been, yeah, obviously like ice skating kind of is just one of those things like I've kind of only seen every 4 years in some certain movies, but I didn't really realize all the pageantry and kind of like how much the costumes and the time and all that goes into it. And it's like, yeah, it is a very expensive sport. Which I don't think a lot of us realize, and thinking about it, where it's just like, like you have to have like that costume, like I know the movie kind of plays it up, and I was kind of one of the things as well. Like I was wondering like how much of that really does go into it, but at the same time, I'm like I wouldn't be surprised if that actually has a lot of merit. Where it's like if you're making your own costume and it's not something fancy or anything, it's like you probably do get graded down. So yeah, that was just kind of another thing that was interesting to kind of pick up on watching the movie with the sport. Just how something I never realized.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a movie uh showing the trueness of figure skating, but also like what does it really look like or something. Or
Yeah.
but
And what does it cost? Like,
yeah, it seems like it's almost like a beauty pageant for children
Yeah,
on
exactly.
ice. And we all know kind of like the negative effects of beauty pageants for children and stuff. And so you're almost kind of masking it behind this like athletic sport, where Tonya Harding kind of does it in the film, where or like they allude to it, where it's like Tanya was not scored in a certain way because of the judges are like, you don't fit the mold that we want to promote for the young children out to the world for figure skating. It's like, okay, well, like, am I good at figure skating then or not? But yourself, Kai, what do you think?
okay, so I had a couple. So the first one that kind of like popped up was the CGI. Like,
Yes. Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
That's
Oh, sorry.
yeah, that's
awful.
the whole thing
Yeah.
with the figure skating, where it's like,
Oh
I
my
guess they
goodness, it was
could
so
have.
bad.
I
The
get it.
face was awful.
Yeah. I get they need to do it. Sorry that I cut you off, but that's something I didn't
No,
really think about until you brought it up, and I didn't have
yeah,
the words to explain. But when they do the first triple axel, I'm like, I
yep,
get she can't do it, and I get you have to do it, but it stuck out, and that's the
yes.
one thing with CGI. It's like I understand you can't make everything realistic, but the worst thing
No,
is
but
when I notice, when it's
yeah,
noticed, because then it just takes a little bit away from
the
what I'm
thing that
watching.
the thing that gets me about it, it was 2017.
Yeah.
Avatar had already come out. Like,
Right, that's like the
you can make
peak.
a good tracking face
Mm,
shot and not
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
frozen face.
and you would have noticed that in 2017 too. I think it would have
Oh
stood
yeah.
yeah.
out. Yeah.
So
I
that
feel
was
like
the
the
first
CGI,
one.
CGI and Blades of Glory did a better job of it a little
Right.
Yes.
Was they're actually
bit.
skating probably.
But also the
uh
faces as well. Kai brought up a good point. Like I understand when you let when you have like actors and actresses portray like younger people, but um some of the things too are like some of it kind of just the facial expressions as well with some of them, or like just kind of felt off too. So
Yeah.
a little bit of everything with it.
so that was the first one. The second one was So young Tonya Harding. So not the not the 3 or 4 year old, but the one right after that, the one that got a couple of lines in the movie. She overacted like a mug. Like
The
she,
pimple face one.
yeah,
the one that like yelled at the dad when he was driving away, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
that little
sorry, that
girl.
one, that one. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
So
she
okay.
was just acting whatever couple of lines she had. She was like, "I'm getting all this screen time."
Hey, might as well take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then oh, there was a tracking shot after the divorce that was just like the most confusing, unnecessary thing ever. So it was like a tracking shot from Jeff's house, and they followed from Jeff's house to Tanya's house, and I was like, this is unnecessary.
Oh, when he's going over there like to confront her and like break down the door.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
unnecessary. And
true.
then the last one I have is Sean is dumb as shit. Literally what I
Yes.
have on my notes. Sean is dumb as shit, snitches get stitches. That was the last
The
note I have.
the what's his name?
The chubby dude.
Bodyguard.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bodyguard.
Okay, I don't know about you guys. I tried to look up how legitimate all that was. Where he called the
Mhm.
bomb. I didn't find anything about the bomb threat, or at least maybe I didn't think enough. But like, I wasn't sure if that was Hollywoodized, like to make a story or whatnot. But yeah, the story. I do know one thing that was true is where the hitman was at the wrong location for like a day or two, and they mentioned that was actually legit. Like
Oh
Yeah.
that was
god,
confirmed. I did
Oh
come
my
across.
god.
Yeah, and that was pretty funny. But
that's
yeah, the other things,
hilarious.
geez, yeah, they were pretty dumb.
So this is a movie of exactly how not to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good points. Where it's like, yeah, in terms of like your critique about the like adding in the tracking shot from like one
Mhm.
house to another. Do you think sometimes like just like cinematographers or directors that maybe it's like their first or second kind of movie? Do you think that like they add in something just to practice something just because like all right, well, I have a full-fledged movie I'm doing right now, I want to try this, so might as well just try it and see what happens, right? And
It's
if it gets
gotta
through the
be,
cutting, right?
but you have producers that should be like, hey, no, that's not gonna work. Like that doesn't fit the story. But if you have bad producers on your side, then it's just like, oh hey, yeah, let's do a tracking shot. That'd be amazing. Let's waste all our money on this one shot.
It
I
felt
know,
pretty.
yeah, just like knowing how much that would cost probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, it felt very random for this movie too.
yeah.
Where in a different movie maybe, but this one just felt a little. And I guess like that maybe goes to the point where did this deserve a movie? Like maybe it's more
Hmm.
fluff and more thing where they had like I don't know. You guys, I was surprised it was a 2 hour movie. Like I was expecting kind of 90 minutes, and like I said, to be fair, like they rushed at the end, but there was just a lot of like I don't know. There's a lot of times at the front too where it's just like they did a good job of explaining things, but just
But
maybe a lot of
also
things we didn't care about. Like you said, a lot more competition.
overemphasis
Like
of the
Abuse.
abuse and struggle
Yeah.
that she went
yes,
through, and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, that's all there and part of someone's life, but I think also when you put it into like a movie sense, it's like, all right, like you've reminded us that yes, a person can go through this, and Tanya
Hmm.
Harding did, but I think we can kind of like step aside and go to the next point in the
Yeah.
story.
They could have
right.
given us more of an
Her
explanation.
practicing more,
Yeah,
her, I don't know, that's
practicing
what
and
for me,
then
like more practicing of her
well,
skating.
even
And
I would have loved to see like the breakdown of the crime, like how they just royally fucked that up. Like I would have loved for them to be like, oh yeah, yeah, we're talking about at least more of it. Talking about how they're
Yeah.
gonna do the crime and then show them just royally just screw up the whole crime. I would have loved
Okay.
that.
I don't know if maybe I missed this. I was watching it, obviously paying attention, but did they really talk about or go really in depth how there was a miscommunication, like how they went from like sending a letter to, I know to like the attack. Like I know the
Mhm.
security guard mentions after, like, oh, like I called in the bomb threat to like help our business, which I was like, that seems just kind of crazy. But yeah, like, did they ever really go over that? Like, maybe I missed it. Like I said, like I was watching it, but was that ever
No, I
really
think it
kind
was
of
kind of
discussed?
like
wasn't the
glazed over.
bodyguard guy, he said like he made the call, like he
Yeah,
just did what he
So yeah, okay,
what
because
he
that
was
was the only thing
told.
too. Yeah, because I'm like, that's just, I get that's maybe we never really know, but it was just felt very like just jumbled, and um, I yeah, I would have loved to see where that like actually really came from, and was that really the reason? Like, I'm going with it because it was in the movie, but yeah, just
Who's
the thought
the
process is
skater
crazy.
that they hit their ankle?
Nancy
Nancy
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan. I would have seen, because there was like there was a moment where Tonya Harding in the film said that her and Nancy were very good friends and would actually stay in like hotels with each other for their
Yeah.
skating events and everything. Like more of that, where it's like, where did it all break down, or
Yeah.
and all that stuff, where it's like
Or
you were
why was
friends.
it? Yeah, why was Nancy the one that was targeted like for this? Like, I mean, I know was she just because she's the other U.S. skater, but like you said, like they only really talked about her being friends and just showed them what in a hotel room eating,
Yeah, just
drinking
playing and
for
everything.
20 seconds and then cut to something else. So yeah, it would have been nice to
Hmm.
see like you said, like them being, or maybe showing that relationship actually of them being friends, like the first time they interact, first time they shared a room, first time they like like would hang out, like, and just kind of show that relationship, and then show maybe where why did why was Nancy the one, or like why was she willing to risk it on Nancy as well? Like if it was like some sort of like, oh, I got along with her, we're friends, but I'm still want to call in this threat to have her mess up in a competition. Doesn't seem like much of a friend, So
I
um
I think
yeah,
also you kind of, this movie allows you to forget who Nancy Kerrigan was, because we're like
right.
this. Granted, this movie is about Tonya Harding and stuff, but the whole aspect of this crime was to Nancy Kerrigan and stuff. So it's like I think in everyday life too. Also, everyone remembers Tonya Harding for what this situation transpired to be, but everyone forgets about Nancy Kerrigan.
Hmm.
So you kind of continue that perpetual motion of forgetting who Nancy Kerrigan was with this.
Well, you are correct with the general society. In this ice skating world, I just know Nancy Kerrigan's one of like I think their top announcers. So I
Yeah.
think
Oh.
yeah. So I'm not saying it like that. I was like, gotcha. I'm pretty sure, because the only few times I've actually watched where when ice skating's been on, where usually it's overlapped the sport I was watching before, and she's on, I think I've caught myself saying, oh, like that's Nancy Kerrigan. So I'm pretty sure she announced it. Like I said, I don't want to be misquoted there, but I'm pretty sure she's one of their top at least announcers in that sport. But like you said, in society, we know Tonya Harding. I know way more about Tonya Harding than Nancy Kerrigan. Like, and that
Yeah.
was before this movie. Leaving the movie, obviously, it's a Tonya Harding movie. So you're correct there. But yeah, I think it's not like Nancy's like missing. I think she's just she's still thriving in the sport.
It's kind of nice to hear that at least the sport kind of allows Nancy to kind of continue and stuff, and she's still a part of the sport that they were a part of.
Well,
But I,
like they even said they looked after her in that competition when they talked. She came in second when she came back, and Tanya got six or something. Like they looked after Nancy, like in a way. Like I think like that sport definitely like kind of looked after her and definitely marked Tanya down. So there's probably a little bit of that at play too.
Mhm.
but I think that shows that villains get more recognition than
Oh,
like superheroes,
yeah, they're
if you
more
want to call them
exciting
that.
and everything.
Yeah.
Because it's more, I think, to the psychology of things. It's more they're acting out things that we think about,
Yeah.
but would never probably do, because we have a sense of morality and stuff.
They're
And
going against the grain,
yeah, yeah, it's okay.
or
Well,
like the
like let's
social
see how
norms,
this
I guess.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, well, I don't know if Nick, I don't know if you kind of gave the movie a rating for yourself, but if in this app that we use, it's called Letterbox. We kind of like, Kai and I use it to track the movies that we watch and kind of rate the movies. It's the rating scales from 1 star to 5 stars, one being the lowest, five being the highest and stuff, and five being kind of a perfect film. What did you score? What would you score this movie on a 1 to 5 scale?
I gave it a 3 out of 5. There was things I liked about it, but also at the same time, there's things I kind of couldn't look away from or like kind of couldn't overlook. Well, it was entertaining though. I wouldn't say it was a bad movie by any means. It's something that I enjoyed watching, but for myself, like it's not something I would see myself watching again, if that makes sense. So 3 out of 5, I think it kind of does it justice. Don't feel like I wasted my time, but also just don't feel like I would look after it or look to watch it again. So yeah.
Well, I think Nick has also answered our other question or our last question. But what about you, Kai?
My
What'd
bad.
you rate it? No. What about you, Kai?
Yeah, I gave it a 2.5. That CGI really got me.
Like a whole star taken off just
Yeah.
for that.
The whole half a star. Like maybe it was worth a 3, but I was like, no, that CGI at 2017, no, 2.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 as well with Nick and stuff, and yeah, I think that's again, I always explain that like I kind of like do these rating systems or kind of think about the rating while I'm watching the movie, and it's like literally the moment the movie ends, I try to rate it, and I came out with a 3, and that's kind of where I'm sticking with it too. But what we're alluding to, typically we ask also if we will add this movie to our personal movie collection, and I think we kind of know where Nick's at. But
I will remember that for next time. I apologize, sir.
well,
it's kind of
a point
already.
It's kind of a point as to like, would you spend your hard-earned money on this? And we have different avenues to purchase these films, whether or not it's digital or through a physical media and stuff. And physical media will probably be the most expensive version of buying these films. But would you, if you had a collection of movies sitting at your house, and whenever someone came over and looked at your collection of movies, you would be proud to say that those are the movies that I wanted someone to look at and know that I've watched? Would you add I Tonya to it?
So I would not, but not to really, because of the collection or anything. It's one of those where I would recommend people to watch, but I wouldn't have in my collection, if that makes sense. So I think it was a good watch. I think it's enjoyable, but I just don't see myself picking this one up again. So a no for me, but I would recommend still to watch.
I think I'm in the same boat where it's like, no, I've seen it once. I'm done seeing it probably. And I'm glad that we have things called apps, and we can have a running total of or a list of movies that we watched, and I'm happy adding it to that list. But in terms of having a collection in my house, or just even purchasing it digitally on any of my apps, I would not probably. Just I've seen it once and I'm done with it. Yourself,
Yep.
guy?
Yeah, I'm guessing you already know mine. I gave it a 2.5. So
I don't know. You never know. It's one of those cult classes, I guess.
No, that's a one and done for me. I am going straight to the league after watching that.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, that is something where it's like you watch this movie and it's like I guess it's just the story of it and the impact it kind of has, or it's like you just gotta watch something nice and happy and fun and everything afterwards, or just go and eat some food or just get distracted by it. But yeah, any last words, Nick?
Yeah, I just, like I said, it was enjoyable. I liked it. I liked the recommendation. It was out of a sport I generally don't watch, which was kind of nice to kind of just check in on and see the differences and see like what's important there and stuff. But no, it was I liked it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Just wouldn't kind of don't plan on watching it again for a while. So yeah. What about you guys?
I'm already thinking about the next film to watch, to have Nick on and everything, just to continue to have you on the podcast and stuff. But like I said, yeah, it's a next film on the list of films that I watched. But I'm ready for the next sports film, and I don't even know what that is in terms of like we already decided on it, but hopefully it's another kind of not unknown or lesser known sport too, like figure skating, maybe curling or or wrestling. I think we were talking about the
I
movie.
mean, yeah, I was going to mention. I know we can watch Foxcatcher. I mean, that's always something that's I haven't seen in a long time. I've seen it, but it's been a long time. I believe I saw it with you, Jason. Did we watch it
Yeah,
together?
I can't.
Actually?
I think so, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
Sounds like
well,
us.
to close things out, I think I'm already thinking about the next movie to watch and stuff. So looking forward to that. Are you
Yeah,
guys?
actually, I think the next one we talked about with Nick was McFarlane USA.
And that's is that's
That's
right
track. Yeah.
track. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
That's another like move, like you don't see a sport that you don't see many movies on and everything. I like that.
But like ESPN 8 the Ocho, obscurity.
All right, Kyle, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn, the special episode of Sunday morning hangover. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one.